Yatrubhescha Kripasindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we're going to speak on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 14. This as follows. Devi Gunamaya Mama Maya Durachaya Mam Ekmaya Prabhajante Mayam Etam Tarantite Devi Gunamaya Mama Maya Durachaya Mam Ekmaya Prabhajante Mayam Etam Tarantite. Translation. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is very difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can cross. We'll do the word for word meaning. Devi, transcendental. He, certainly. Nisha, this. Gunamai, consisting of the three modes of material nature. Mama, my. Maya, energy. Durachaya, very difficult to overcome. Mam, unto me. Eva, certainly. Ye, those who. Prabhajante, surrender. Mayam etam, this illusory energy. Taranti, overcome. Te, they. So this divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of His energies and are therefore divine, due to contact with material nature, their original superior power is covered. Being thus covered by material nature, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures, being emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are eternal. The living entities belong to the eternal superior nature of the Lord, but due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. This condition is therefore called Nitya Bhada, or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult. Even though that material nature is an inferior energy, because material nature is ultimately conducted by the Supreme Will, which the living entity cannot overcome. Inferior nature is defined herein as divine nature due to its divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by divine will, material nature, although inferior, acts so wonderfully in the construction and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. The Vedas confirm this as follows. Mayam tu prakritim vidhyam, mayanam tu maheshwaram. Although Maya, illusion, is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician, the personality of Godhead, who is Maheshwara, the supreme controller. Suteshwara Upanishad 4.10. Another meaning of guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the ropes of illusion. He cannot free himself. He must be held by a person who is unbound. Because the bound cannot help the bound, the rescuer must be liberated. Therefore, only Lord Krishna, or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be freed from the bondage of material nature. Devotional service of Krishna consciousness can help one gain such release. Krishna, being the Lord of the illusory energy, can order this insurmountable energy to release the conditioned soul. He orders this release out of his causeless mercy on the surrendered soul and out of his paternal affection for the living entity, who is originally a beloved son of the Lord. Therefore, surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is the only means to get free from the clutches of the stringent material nature. The words mam eva are also significant. Mam means unto Krishna, Vishnu, only, and not Brahma or Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnations of Rajagun, passion, and Tamagun, ignorance, to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya. Therefore, he alone can give release to the conditioned soul. The Vedas, Svateshwara Upanishad 3.8, confirms this in the phrase Tam eva viditva, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti Prada Sarvesham Vishnu Evana Samsaya. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. So that ends the purport. So we'll just try to say something on this verse and purport. Now Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Itamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschita Visitarine Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So dear devotees, we find that this verse is actually describing the material energy to be Krishna's servant, right? So let's see how this is so. We go on to, we talk about our lives. If anything goes wrong in our lives, we're too quick to blame other people, right? We do not like to take the blame for anything. Lo and behold, not to belittle anyone, but in the Christian tradition, they blame everything on the devil. Others blame the family members or go to backdoor temples in order to gain help when things go wrong in their lives, and they indulge in evil activities. We may blame it on Maya. So is Maya evil? Is she the devil? No. Her task is to assist Krishna in bringing the conditioned souls back to his lotus feet. Maya is also the external energy of the Lord. Devi is a Gunamaya. Devi, it's this divine energy. Krishna says that this divine energy of Maya is very difficult to overcome. Now, the Lord has multifarious energies, right? In the Vishnu Purana, it is stated, Karasha Shakti Vivideva Shriyate. The three most prominent are the internal, the Antaranga Shakti, external, Bahiranga Shakti, and the marginal, which is the Tatastha Shakti. The external energy of the Lord, Maya, takes the form of Durga in this material world. And Durga is the warden of this prison house. Right now, in her 8 hands, she's holding the different weapons, the tridents, the club, so on and so forth. And she's inflicting pain upon the living entity in order for the living entities to come to their senses. Like in the like the warden of a prison, the warden of the prison has a duty to perform, in that he has to keep the inmates tightly secure so that they do not escape the prison. Now, so too is Maya or Durga. She keeps us tightly bound within this prison of the material world. This prison also has shackles that bind us in the form of so-called love, right, which is actually lust. Then we get affection and attachment. So affection and attachment to family members, to spouse, to children, like this. So what are you saying? That you may ask that you are saying that, affection to family members is Maya. Well, not actually. It's, if you look at it in that sense, then it is Maya. But as devotees, we need to dovetail these proclivities, this loving affection. We need to dovetail it in Krishna's service. And we need to take the help of transcendental. Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. So how do we dovetail these activities? So we should look at our spouse, we should look at our children, we should look at people that we have affection for, our parents, as Krishna's property. All belong to Krishna. Right? This is explained in the Sri Upanishad, Ishapasham idham sarvam yakincha jagatam jagat. Tena tiktena bhunjanta matvrida kashyasvidanam. That everything animate and inanimate within this world is owned and controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we should use those things that are set aside as our quota and not use other things, knowing well to whom it belongs. So, Krishna has given us a family, he has given us children, he has given us spouse, he has given us parents. So we need to use all of these in Krishna's service. Please excuse me. We need to use all these personalities who are not different from being servants of Krishna. It's just that they do not know it as yet, but we can engage them in devotional service, and in this way bring them closer to Krishna as well. Bring them closer to Krishna, engage them in devotional service, do something for the Lord, offer arati, offer the food, something little. You can get them to engage in devotional service. So in this way, your whole family become devotees, and there may be some resistance at first, but just by your example, they can actually get to understand Krishna more. So it's our attitude, how we behave towards them. We should have a loving affection towards our family so that we can bring them closer to Krishna. So in this way, they become captivated. They think that if Krishna's devotees are so nice, how nice is Krishna? So in this way, we can actually bring them to Krishna's lotus feet. Now, I just want to explain a pastime from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Bharat Maharaj, who also had affection for his family and wife and children and all of these things, for his subjects basically, and he renounced everything and he went to the forest to live, to basically perform penances. But as he was there, he got attached to a deer. How is it so? That this mother deer was pregnant and she was trying to escape from the lion. The lion was chasing her and she basically ran and she, ran over, she hopped over the river. And as she did that, her cub fell into the water. And Maharaj Bharat, he saw this and he went and he picked up this doe and he started to take care of this deer and nurture it. And in this way, his mind became absorbed in the deer and he forgot all about his austerities and penances. So what to do? He was like so immersed in this deer that, if he didn't see the deer for a while, he would like wonder, where is this deer gone to? Sometimes when our family members are late, like coming from work or from school or whatever, and we look out of the window and say, when is this person going to come? Even if I see a glimpse of him or her, coming in the distance, I know the person is on his way. So like this, he was so attached to this deer that um, he was like only thinking, he was absorbed in thoughts of this deer. It so happened that when he was leaving his body, he thought of this deer, and guess what? He became a deer in his next life. So we should take an example, take a lesson from this example of Bharat Maharaj, and try to not become attached to the people around us. So how do we do this? It's easier said than done, right? So how do we do this? I was listening to a class by Bhakti Vinod Swami, and he said that actually one should try to manage his affection. And he gave this example of Bharat Maharaj. He did not manage his affection. If he paid attention to his austerities, and on the side, he did whatever he could for the deer to survive, then that would have been okay. But he did not pay attention to his austerities. Instead, what he did, he just got more absorbed in the deer. And this is how, he could not manage his affection. He allowed his affection to override him. And in this way, he was just caught up in the whole thing. And we see that this led to his demise of taking birth as a deer. And if only he knew how to manage his affection, he would have went straight home, back to Godhead within that lifetime. But we see this wasn't so. So as I said, we too should take control of our spiritual lives and introspect, and see how are we advancing in our spiritual life. What are my affections for? Which family members? Try to engage them in Krishna's service and try to see all of them as part and parcel of Krishna. They belong to Krishna. They do not belong to me. No, they do not. We don't take ownership of those things that Krishna lent us. We cannot take ownership of that. We have to acknowledge that they belong to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. We have to acknowledge that. Otherwise, we'll just get caught up in so-called affection, okay, and attachment. Right? So attachment is, and basically it binds us to this material world, and we attach to something in this material world, we're going to come back here. So we should try to forego our attachment by seeing all parts and parcels of everyone as part and parcel of Krishna. And in this way, we don't become so attached. So we should become more attached to Krishna than our family members. I'm saying that because it's the truth. Even Queen Kunti prayed, my dear Lord, please, as Ganges forever flowed to the sea, Let my affection for you be similar. Don't let it be diverted to anyone else. I'm paraphrasing. Don't let it be diverted to anyone else. So, although her children, her sons, were Maharathis, right, great fighters, they were exalted devotees of Krishna, and they saw Krishna face to face. Krishna was there all the time with them. But yet, she prayed to the Lord, don't let my affection be diverted to anyone else, right? Only you. So we should take a lesson from this and learn how to maneuver our Krishna consciousness on the path back home, back to Godhead. Speaking of material nature, there are these gunas, the three gunas: goodness, passion, and ignorance. These gunas mutate, like 3 into 3 is 9, 9 into 9 is 81, and they keep mutating like this. And that's how we become bound up by these gunas, by these modes, right? And we become bound up in her complexities. So much so that we lose our intelligence and think of that which is not the body and to be the self. And we say that, I'm the body. Before coming to Krishna consciousness, how many of us knew that we were the soul? We are not this body, and we are apart from this body. None of us, right? We always thought that, this is me, this body is me. Right? I mean, identified with the body, and the whole world is thinking like this, and the whole world is identifying with the body, and therefore there's so much of chaos in this material world. Excuse me. So the analogy may be given of an insane person. He's in the asylum, and he thinks that, he's the president of the country, oblivious to his surroundings, that, he's in the asylum, and he thinks that, I'm the president of this country, and he dictates to everyone, right? We are also like this, the asylum of this material world, and thinking that I am Mr. So-and-so, I am Mr. Singh, a doctor, I have a wife, I have children, I have a car, I have a bank balance. We are none of these things, right? So forth and so on. We think like this, but we are actually none of these things. We are spirit soul, and we belong to the spiritual atmosphere. We do not belong here. This world is foreign to us. But because we have been here for such a long time, as Prabhupada is stating the purport, we become Nitya Bada. We've been here for such a long time. Sometimes even the demigods under material nature, and Prabhupada did mention in the purport that even Lord Shiva and Brahma are bewildered by the material energy. And although, we'll just take an example like Shiva, although he is a great Vaishnava and very self-controlled, so I'll just relate a pastime. Once during the churning of the milk ocean between the demons and the demigods, so the demons were on one side and the demigods were on one side. This is there in the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And they were churning this milk ocean in order to gain nectar from it, so that, they could drink this elixir and remain immortal. So they were, and as they were churning, many things came out of this ocean. One of it was poison that Lord Shiva himself drank. And then other things came out as well, like a horse, Ucheshwara, and different things. And also Mohini Murti, the form of the Lord as a female. And she was so enchanting, right? And she wanted to entice Lord Shiva. Now, Lord Shiva is not disturbed by anything, right? But here the Lord adorned herself as in the form of a female. Now, she adorned herself with beautiful clothing and wore ankle belts. And as she walked, this ankle, as she danced, this ankle bells jingled or tinkled. and broke the meditation of Lord Shiva. Then she appeared to be playing with a ball, bouncing it here and there, and a strong gust of wind blew her sari, and her body was revealed. And Lord Shiva was captivated, by this form of the Lord as a female. He was completely mesmerized and completely captivated that he chased after her to embrace her. And as he ran throughout the universe, he discharged semen, which fell, and wherever it fell, that place turned into gold. So, because he's no ordinary being, right? When Lord Shiva eventually caught hold of Mohini Murti, the Lord revealed himself to his true identity to Lord Shiva. And in this way, Lord Shiva was so embarrassed because he was basically caught up with this material, it's not a material form, but by the energy of the Lord, by the potency of the Lord, he was bewildered. So if Lord Shiva is so powerful, right, and can come under the bewildering potency of the Lord, who are we? Therefore, we need to serve with intensity and remember Krishna always. In the Bhagavad Gita 9:34, Krishna says, Man manabhava mad bhakto mamayachi mamaskuru mam evashasi satchante pratijanayi pure asmini. That we should always think of him, become his devotee, offer our homage unto him, and in this way we'll come to him at the end of our life, being fully immersed in him, right? So like this, we should try to basically set our day, so much so that we can remember Krishna all the time. It may not be possible, very possible, but if we plan our day and, at this time I'm going to do this and that time I'm going to do that, and this is how I'm going to remember Krishna. If we wreck our brains to think of how to remember Krishna, Krishna will give you the potency, the power to actually remember him throughout the day. So this is my experience also, that how Krishna gives the intelligence how to remember him throughout the day. So it's not very difficult. Okay? And the most important thing is chanting our 16 rounds every day, every mornings, right? Chanting our 16 rounds, and then the whole day goes smoothly. We're always thinking of the Lord, we're singing about the Lord, we, doing service with somehow or the other, we're always thinking of Krishna. So now we spoke about the Bahiranga Shakti, the external energy. Now let me speak about the marginal energy, the Tatastha Shakti. We, the living entities, fall into this category of Tatastha Shakti. Originally, we were with Krishna in the spiritual world, and has kind of fallen into this material world under the influence, Prabhupada states that no one can trace out the history of us becoming conditioned in this material world. And we are called Tatastha or marginal energy because we can choose to be with Krishna or to be with Maya. Sometimes Krishna, most times Maya. Why? Because we have been in this material world for so long. It has become like our second nature. So herein, I just want to give you an analogy of the spark, right? The spark of the fire. Sometimes when the spark is in the fire, then it acts like fire, right? But once it falls out of the fire, then it loses its potency, and it no more acts like fire. So similarly, when we are in the spark of the fire of Krishna consciousness, then we are all blissful and happy. And as soon as we fall out of the association of devotees, then we experience miseries. Okay? Another analogy that Srila Prabhupada gives is the beach. When the waves flow onto the beach, it becomes wet. And when the waves retreat, then it becomes dry. So similarly, we can make a choice whether we want Krishna or Maya, Tatastha Shakti. So we should always try to think of Krishna and be Krishna consciousness, right? Next, we go to the Lord's internal potency, Antaranga Shakti, or the Yoga Maya, which when Mahamaya sees that we have this inclination to serve the Lord, to make spiritual advancement, then she helps us, she assists us in Krishna consciousness and clears our way. As long as we are reminded of Krishna, we cannot encounter any difficulties. But as soon as we are diverted, then she sends us a reminder in the form of adversities in our lives. So we can remember Krishna with more intensity. So all of us have this experience, we go through difficulties in our spiritual lives. We go through some difficulties, but we should not forego our devotional practice at this point, right? We'll say, well, I'm chanting so much, Krishna is not helping. No, that's not the mood of a devotee. The mood of a devotee is that he sees that whatever adversities Krishna bring his way, that he can use this as a stepping stone to make more advancement in Krishna consciousness, to be more absorbed in the service of the Lord. So this is how a devotee looks at it, right? All these adversities that come on the way. And sometimes people may say, well, you're a devotee of Krishna and you're suffering so much. Where's your Krishna? Right? Because they do not understand how the Lord's potency works. And the Lord will only give us adversities if he loves us, give us a wake-up call, basically, if he loves us. So we should not take this, as Krishna's punishing us. No. We should take it as Krishna's mercy. So, sometimes when we engage in devotional service, and sometimes even the most menial devotional service, we experience the highest bliss, right? Devotees serve Krishna the way Krishna wants to be served. Annu Kulyena Krishna no Shilanam Bhakti Uttam. This is the way that the devotees serve Krishna, the way he wants to be served. I don't know if any of you have been given a service that you don't really want to, that you don't prefer, you don't want to do it, but somehow the Lord, you have to do it, especially when you're living in a temple environment like myself, right? So recently I've been given some garland services. Now when I was just joined the temple at that time, I used to make garlands, and then as time went on, I went on to other services. And now here, after so many years, they asked me to make garlands again. And I don't really prefer doing garlands, but I said, since it's for the Lord and he, basically Krishna wants it and my authorities want it, so I'll do it. Okay. So then I started making garlands, and also the garlands came out very nice as well. And so in this way, and then you feel so much of bliss and you want to continue doing this service. You don't want to forego the service, but it so happened now that we are basically open, the temple is open, and devotees can come from the congregation, devotees can come in and do their service. So then they go back to making garlands. So I don't have the service anymore. So like this, we feel so much of bliss once we engage in a certain service to Krishna. It can be whatever service it is, singing for the Lord, cooking for the Lord. You feel so much of bliss and happiness because the soul is satisfied, right? Your heart is satisfied doing the service, no matter whatever it is, because you're doing it for Krishna wants it to be done. So therefore you get the satisfaction of your heart. Lord Chaitanya is very merciful in this regard, that he has given us the most easiest and sublime method to go back home, back to Godhead, and that is by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'd say the choice is yours. What do you want, Maya or Krishna? So I will end here with this, and if anyone has any questions or would like to add to this, you're most welcome to.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for the wonderful class. Hare Krishna Mataji, we welcome Her Grace Kasturi Devi Mataji. Kasturi Mataji had a question last week, so maybe she can ask the question if she's there. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Kasturi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Would you like to ask a question?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please give me a few minutes. I'll have to go upstairs because I'm just with my children and they're a bit noisy. So just a few minutes, Mataji, Hari Bol. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But while we're waiting for Kasturi Mataji, we can sing a little. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna
Rama.
Mataji. Accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada. Mataji, Her Grace Kasturi Mataji is busy with a child, so she asked if I could just ask her the question on her behalf.
No problem.
So, sure. Just asking last week about Krishna. How do you describe Krishna to new people? Like, is Krishna a Hindu god? And based on the type of food that he eats, is he considered an Indian or a Hindu? So how do you describe Krishna to new people, basically? Who is he? Is he?
I did answer that question too. Right?
Yes, yes. I just thought Mataji can get some clarity on that, but
Okay,
she should be hearing though.
So basically, Krishna is universal, and because in the spiritual world, the ladies are dressed in saris, right? And the males, they are dressed in dhoti kurta, like this. So we have actually, we are imitating the spiritual world. Right? Prabhupada has given us the spiritual world in the form of the dress, the food, the things like this. So we are actually practicing how to behave in the spiritual world, right? Even devotional services of the spiritual world, and we are engaging in devotional service. So the gopis and the residents of Vrindavan are also engaging in all the activities that we do here. We, like serving Krishna, putting him to bed in the evening, getting up in the morning, all these things, all these services we are doing is actually, this is all going on in the spiritual world as well. Okay. So it's not that Krishna is a Hindu god, right? You'll find in other traditions also they wear robes, right? Muslim tradition. In the Christian tradition also you always find Jesus Christ with a robe, right? So this is the dress of the spiritual world. Okay? So it's not that Krishna is Hindu, but because he appeared in India, because it's a holy place, he brought his whole spiritual world to India, basically, the land of Bharat. So, so therefore the people living on that tract of land basically became known as Hindus, and they wear the same dress, the saris and the kurtas, but obviously now it's very modernized, it's changing very drastically, and they're imitating the West. So how can we say that it's Hindu? We cannot say that it's Hindu. There's no such word as Hindu in the Vedic scriptures. Prabhupada clearly states that in the Science of Self-Realization. This word Hindu came about by the Muslims that were living on the other side of the Sindus River, and they called the people on the opposite side Hindus because they could not pronounce the S, so they call them Hindus. So in this way, Krishna is universal. Yeah, I would say. Right? He does not belong to a certain sect of people. No. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada took these teachings around the whole world, and people all around the world, all traditions, all nationalities, all races, all colors, all creeds, they're all chanting Hare Krishna. Okay. So I hope that answers your question, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, thank you. So Mataji, how would you introduce Krishna to a newcomer?
You can introduce him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Supreme means is the highest. Personality, he has a form, is a person of Godhead, So you can introduce him like that he is God, basically. And and people call him by different names, right? So some people call him Allah, Jehovah, Jesus, whatever, they call him by different names. But he is one person, he's God. And he has a name. And we can also give you his address, right? Prabhupada said, we can give you his address, we can give you his mother's name, we can give you his father's name, we can give you his telephone number, we can give you everything of Krishna. So, yeah, you can just
Krishna, Mataji, thank you.
the way Srila Prabhupada introduced Krishna, right? as a supreme personality of Godhead. We should introduce him just like that. If we read Srila Prabhupada's books, especially it's the science of self-realization, perfect questions, perfect answers, and you'll see how he dealt with Western people. So in that way, we can use those same arguments and convince people that Krishna is supreme Lord.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much.
If there's nothing else, then we can go and have some kirtan. Is that right? The bhajan. I'd like to sing a bhajan.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
One second. My computer is a bit slow today, so please bear with me. Hope it's coming up. So actually once in London, one of the devotees asked Srila Prabhupada, which is your favorite bhajan? Actually, Yamuna Devi asked Prabhupada, which is your favorite bhajan? And he asked her back, so which is your favorite bhajan? And she said her favorite was the Shisastikam, praise of Lord Chaitanya. But Prabhupada said no, his favorite bhajan was the song that I'm going to sing now. It's called Istadeva Vijnapti, prayer to one's beloved Lord from Prarthana. So this is Hari Hari Vipalejan. So we'll sing the song and then we'll do the translation. Hari Hari Dipale Janam Goino Anusya Janam Pai Radha Krishna Na Bhajiya Janiya Suniya Visha Goino Hari Hari Dipale Janam Goino Dole Kera Prema Dhana Harina Sankirtana Rati Jamila Kenata Samsara Bhishanale Divanishya Jwale Jurate Na Koyupa Hari Hari Vipale Janam Goino Rajendra Nanda Ke Sachi Sutha Hoilo Se Balarama Hoilo Nita Dina Hina Jata Chilo Harinam Udharilo Jaya Shakti Jagamadha Dina Hina Jata Chilo Harinam Udharilo Jaya Shakti Jagamadha Hari Hari Vipale Janam Goino Aha Prabhu Nanda Sutta Vrishabhanu Sutta Jutta Karuna Kuro Hoye Bharo Naratama Dasako Nakilo Ranga Pai Vipale janama hoinu Manushya janama pai Radha Krishna na bhajiya Janiya suniya vishakarna Hari Hari Vipale janama hoinu Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So let's read the translation of this beautiful song. O Lord Hari, I have spent my life uselessly, having obtained a human birth, and having not worshipped Radha and Krishna, I have knowingly drunk poison. The treasure of divine love in Golok Vrindavan has descended as the congregational chanting of the Lord, of Lord Hari's holy name. Why did my attraction for the chanting never come about? Day and night my heart burns from the fire of poison of worldliness, and I have not taken the means to relieve it. Lord Krishna is the son of the king of Raja, became the son of Mother Sachi, Lord Chaitanya, and Balaram became Matan. The holy name delivered all the souls who were lowly and wretched. The two sinners, Jagai and Madan, are evidence of this. O Lord Krishna, son of Nanda, accompanied by the daughter of King Rishabhanu, please be merciful to me. Now Narottam Das says, O Lord, please do not push me away from your reddish lotus feet, for who is my beloved except for you? The song is by Narottam Das Thakur, very, very beautiful. And in his humility, he wrote the song. So, and Prabhupada said this was his favorite song. So we should make it our favorite song and also try to learn the song, okay? and sing it as often as possible. So with that, we'll end. Thank you very much, Paramatma Prabhu, for giving me this opportunity to share some of my realizations and speak on Prabhupada's purport. I really appreciate this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much. Hare Krishna Mataji. We are so fortunate and blessed to have your association, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Vanchakalpa Tribhescha Kripasintu Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.